All right, guys. Well, let's take a look at the 2020 exam sample questions. There's two questions here. We're going to go over both of them. I'll show you kind of how I'm going to read them by highlighting, like I've done in past videos, and then I'll type the actual code that would be the solution code in to my code editor. For you guys, you might on the actual test use like a Google Doc or Notepad, but whatever you're doing, you're going to want to be able to type and read at the same time. In this particular case, we won't be doing that, but you're going to want to. All right, so let's get right into it. Question 1, array list. Array. So the gizmo class represents gadgets that people purchase. Some gizmo objects are electronic and others are not. A partial definition of the gizmo class is shown below. Public string get maker, that tells who makes it. Public boolean is electronic, which is returning true if the gizmo is electronic, false otherwise. Public boolean equals object other. Returns true if this gizmo is equivalent to the gizmo object. Okay, cool. Let's look at the next page here. Oh. All right, and the online purchase manager class manages a sequence of gizmo objects that an individual has purchased from an online vendor. You will write two methods of the online purchase manager class. Partial definition of the online purchase manager class is shown below. Looks like there is an array list of gizmo purchases. Int count electronics by maker, that's part A, and boolean has adjacent equal pair, that's part B. Cool. I think that's it for this page. All right, now we're down to the meat of it. Here's A. Write the count electronics by maker method. The method examines the array list instance variable purchases, I remember that from the class from last page, to determine how many gizmo objects purchased are electronic and are manufactured by maker. Table. So index and purchases 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Value returned by the method call is electronic. True, false, true, false, true, false. And then value returned by the method call get maker. And then we've got a whole bunch of makers. Most of them are ABC. Okay, and then looking at this method call table, OPM, that was online purchase manager, got it, OPM. Online OPM.count electronics by maker ABC returns 2 based on this table right here. So 2 is based on the fact that I have that guy, that guy, that guy, and that guy. And then also the fact that this is electronic and this is electronic. So between those, ABC gives me 2, which I think, okay, that makes sense. All right, well, let's write this method then. Basically, we just have to go through the list. We've got to see whether it's electronic, and we've got to see make sure that the maker is actually the maker that we're looking for, and we're doing that all in this purchases class. So let's do some code. All right, so this was public. Actually, this was int, public int, get electronics by maker, I believe. And we pass in a string, maker. Just going to check myself on that. Count electronics by maker. Okay. Count electronics by maker. Okay. And we've got to somehow return a count, so I'm going to say int count equals 0, and then some kind of for loop. I think we could do an enhanced for loop in this one. For string. Actually, we want to do for gizmo g in purchases. If g.get maker dot equals maker, so that's this maker is the same as the string maker up here, right? And then g.get maker gets me the maker of my gizmo object as I go through my list of different gizmos. If g.get maker dot equals maker, and so in addition, it has to be electronic. G dot is electronic. Then what we're going to do is count plus plus. Return count. Let me double check that I used the right names for that, but I believe that that is basically going to be what we want to do. All right, count electronics by maker method. The method examines the array list instance variable purchases to determine how many gizmo objects purchased are electronic manufactured. Is electronic, yep. Get maker, yep. Okay, so I think that's it for that part of the problem. So that was part A, so let's go back and just look at the solution again. Public int count electronics by maker, string maker, int count equals 0 for gizmo g in purchases, that's what this is here. In purchases, if g.getMaker.equals maker, the string passed in at the beginning, and g is electronic, count plus plus, return to count. All right, so that was part A. Let's look at part B. When purchasing items online, users occasionally purchase two identical items in rapid succession without intending to do so, e.g. by clicking a purchase button twice. The vendor may want to check a user's purchase history to detect such occurrences and request confirmation. Write the hasAdjacent equal pair method. The method detects whether two adjacent gizmo objects in purchases are equivalent using the equals method of the gizmo class. If an adjacent equivalent pair is found, the hasAdjacent equal pair method returns true. If no such pair is found, or if purchases has fewer than two elements, the method returns false. All right, so this is what we've got to write down here. Public boolean hasAdjacent equal pair. All right, so public boolean hasAdjacent equal pair. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so we're going to have to again go through purchases. Remember, if purchases is actually less than two elements, they said that that's got to return false. So we're going to make a little guard up here. Say if purchases dot, and this is a list, so I'm going to say dot size is less than 1. Not less than 1, is less than 2. Return false. Easy peasy. All right. Somehow I missed that. Oh, that's because I'm doing the wrong one here. There we go. All right, next part. So that's if purchases. So we've already determined what to do if it's less. Otherwise, we've got to go through. And because we're comparing two adjacent indexes, we can't use an enhanced for loop. We want to use just a normal for loop. So I'm going to say for int I equals 0. I is less than purchases dot size. We're going to do -1 because we're going to be doing look ahead. So we've got to give ourselves room so we can do an index +1, and I'm going to do I plus plus. All right, so in that for loop, if purchases dot get I dot equals, and because this already has a dot equals method, they said gizmos have a dot equals method, I can just use it. I can say purchases dot get I plus 1. Here's your look ahead. If that's true, return true. And then if I've somehow if I didn't have one item only in the list, and if I didn't have any that were equal, then I'm just going to return false. And I believe that that is part B. Okay, so we've got part B and part A. I'm just going to double check here. It says, method detects whether two adjacent gizmo objects and purchases are equivalent using equals method of the gizmo class. True, yep, okay, so part A and B are done. So I think it's time to move on to part C. This, my guys, is something that is brand new, so let's read it real careful, and we'll write it down. The programmer would like to add a method, getCheaperGizmo by maker, which returns the least expensive gizmo purchased by an individual from a given maker. Write a description of how you would change the gizmo and online purchase manager classes in order to support this modification. Okay, make sure to include the following in your response. Write a method header for the getCheapestGizmo by maker method. Okay. Identify any new or modified variables, constants, constructors, or methods aside from the getCheapestGizmo by maker method. Do not write the program code for this change. Right. Okay. And then describe for each new revised variable, constant, constructor, or method how it would change or be implemented, including visibility and type. Do not need to describe the getCheapestGizmo by maker method. Do not write the program code for this change. So we do have to write the signature, though. Unlike when I was writing code, I think I'm just going to write it all right here, because I think it's going to make more sense here to do that. Okay, so this part, let's see, method header, what's this going to look like? Well, I think we're going to want to say public And we want to return a gizmo because it's saying get cheapest gizmo by maker. Get public gizmo, get cheapest gizmo. Okay. Yeah, it'd be good if I left myself enough room to do this. Luckily, I can kind of cheat by maker. We need a little more space actually. This is going to need to take a string which represents the maker's name, like we did in part A. So so if this is A, B, C, or rather, let's do 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is part 1. Okay, and then part 2, identify any new or modified variables, constants, constructors, or methods aside from the get cheapest gizmo maker by maker method. New or modified variables. So I think our gizmos are going to actually have to have a new. They're going to have a new variable called price, right? So to gizmo instance var price, which would be like a double. What else do we need? I don't think we need any constants, but our constructor does need to change. So the gizmo constructor takes additional price parameter, which is again of type double. Because otherwise, how are you going to keep track of the price? And then methods aside from, okay, do not write the program code. I don't think we need any other methods because we've got price. So really we just need the one method, which is this get cheapest gizmo by maker method. And we do not need to describe the get cheapest gizmo by maker method, so I'm not going to do that. And so I think really we've got, so this would be a private instance variable, because they do say, talk about visibility and type. So we've got a private instance variable, price of type double. I guess we can make it clear. Type double. And gizmo constructor takes an additional price of type double parameter. All right. So I don't know, because again, this is the first time I've seen this one, this kind of problem. This is how I would do it. I just, you want to be clear, but you also want to be concise. So, maybe add some extra wording like add a new private add a new private instance variable to gizmo called price of type double, and then the gizmo constructor needs to take an additional parameter of type double called price. So just write it in complete sentences. That's not what I did here, but we'll do that for the next problem. The next problem has another kind of way to do it. But this is how I thought through it. You can take a look at the clock, and that'll tell you kind of roughly the amount of time this problem took. Remember, these problems this one I think has 25 minutes. So I'm going to take a break here, and then we'll do the second problem in the set, just so that the video isn't like 40 minutes long. I hope this was helpful. This has been the AP 2020 Comp Sci exam sample question. This is question 1. We're going to look at question 2. Question 1 was arrays and ArrayList. Question 2 is methods and constructors. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful. If it was, leave a like. If you have questions, leave them in the comments. One minor clarification before we go on to the next video. I said check the time for how long this took. This is 1.5 speed though, so the actual time was 21 minutes. Just keep that in mind. Still under 25 minutes, but not the 14 or 15 minutes you see here. Thanks. See you in the next video. Bye.